Welcome back. It's Andrew.
And Julie.
And yes, we're together. So in this episode, we're going to talk about the Houston Rodeo. And it was fabulous. So you got to watch to the very end because Julie and I are going to give you the ins and outs on how to go to this Houston Rodeo and have a ton of fun. We'll also break it down to how much it costs and where to stay and all the intricacies that you will want to know. Let's get started. My name is Andrew.
And my name is Julie.
And yes, we're together. So Julie wanted to do all things Southern this year. So a couple weeks ago, we went to the Houston Rodeo. So I went to ChatGPT and I searched what are the biggest rodeos in the US? And the number one is the Houston Rodeo. We had no idea how big this was.
There's like 2.5 million visitors to the rodeo, and it's $2.5 million total purse. It's humongous. 20 days, lots of food, lots of people. Crowds are pretty huge. Stadium holds 72,000 people, and it was sold out the 3 nights that we were there. We were there the last 3 nights. It was huge. Everything is big in Texas.
Yeah, so it's held in NRG Park, which consists of the stadium where the Houston Texans play. And so literally they fill it up with dirt over the artificial turf, and then they have the rodeo. And it's amazing because this is really big for Houston. The Houston Rodeo raised over $27 million in academic scholarships. And what's really cool was the Secretary of Agriculture, our current secretary, was a recipient of one of those scholarships. And she was there to actually give thanks.
And close out the rodeo. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. And it's not only just the rodeo. It's actually paired with a concert. So there's 20 days of rodeo, and it leads up to the championship on the 20th day. So Julie and I decided to go for the 1 and 2 wild card rounds and then the finals on that Sunday. But every day there was a country singer or a band, and actually Journey was there too.
Yeah, the stage was so cool when it came down, moved across, unfolded. The sound was amazing. The performers were great. Brooks and Dunn, we saw them. We saw Luke Bryan and Parker McCollum. Brooks and Dunn are 70 and 73, and they killed it. Super fun.
It's a big deal for Houston. And so they actually have over 34,000 volunteers at this event. And so it's a big deal. So I actually made all the arrangements, and we flew into Houston and we took a Uber to the hotel. I picked the Wyndham, which actually is the hotel located right on the premises or next to the premises of the NRG Park. The reason for that is that we didn't want to fight the crowds. And what do you think of the hotel?
The hotel was well worn, needs some updates. The location, you can't beat it. It needs some love. And it definitely is not a budget hotel, but we didn't have to rent a car. We didn't have to pay for parking. We didn't have to worry about traffic. So those kinds of things kind of offset it. Our room was big. We had plenty of amenities. We actually even had 2 bathrooms in our in our room, but they had a decent restaurant on site. They had a breakfast buffet.
Yeah. So what they say about real estate is location, location, location. So, I've learned my lessons about hotels, and I typically let Julie, approve them. When we were moving from Iowa to my first job in LA, and I booked hotels all the way through, and I just got out of residency, and I was trying to be economical, and we had 2 kids with us and a dog. And so I got hotels that were no-tells, motels. And I've heard
scary locations, and they were motels, and they were like danger.
Oh, it was scary.
So basically, I make sure that I pick some decent places. So this
they have to be Julie approved.
Yes. But this hotel, the location was definitely Julie approved, but the amenities need updating. It's old. I mean, it's right next to the football stadium and NRG, so it's going to be well used because that's where the fans go. There's going to be a lot of parties in there, but it's actually very convenient. So I thought the rodeo grounds were kind of exciting. You know, we didn't go on any carnival rides, but there are plenty of rides there. And typically I think they were like $1.25 for a ticket, and each ride could be anywhere from like, several tickets. So they can be quite expensive to ride. And they had carnival games.
We had carnival food. Lots and lots of carnival food and lots of drinks.
Of course, you got the classic turkey legs, and you have the deep fried Oreos, and then also the big donuts and double fried donuts and so forth. And
meat on a stick.
Oh, yeah. Lots of meat. It's Texas. Everything's big in Texas.
Well, and it was definitely carnival food. There were lots of, there was a huge wine garden area and lots of different drinks and things like that, and margaritas and beer and seltzers and all the things. There's a lot of options for alcohol and lots of unhealthy food, and then the meat on the stick.
I think the biggest deal is the nightly concerts. And so every night, Reba McEntire kicked it off on day number 1. And then we saw Luke Bryan, we saw Brooks and Dunn, and Parker McCollum. And it's awesome. It was like sold out all 3 nights, fully like entertaining. The concerts are about an hour long, but completely fun. After a rodeo night, after a night of competition, it was really nice to close it out. But be aware, there's a lot of people. So here's some footage of some of the crowds as we were trying to go out. So if you're living or staying close to where the NRG is, we just kind of hung out, let the crowds kind of clear out, and then we left on our own.
Yeah, that was, for me, I think I loved almost everything about the rodeo, the experience, the grounds, everything, except the sheer volume of people. There were so many people in such a small space. It was a little overwhelming for me. By day 3, I was like, okay, I'm done. So it was a perfect amount of time that we went.
Fun facts. The Rodeo Houston spans 20 days and has hosted legendary artists like Elvis Presley. Journey was here this last event. However, there was a
fire underneath the stage. Yeah, so sad for them, sad for the fans, because that would have been a pretty disappointing situation if you flew in for that night.
So the Journey issue is that, the rodeo did reimburse all the fans.
But it's the experience. And that's definitely, I think, true with all travel is it's more than money, it's the experience. And so I think that's why I think people is such an incredible mood booster when we travel. It's just helps your marriage, helps your longevity, helps your health. Doesn't help your pocketbook, but it helps everything else.
It was a lot of fun. Okay, so one of my favorite memories of the rodeo is definitely like the events. They have all the classic like bronc riding, bareback riding, barrel racing. We have bull riding, the lassoing. It was really cool. The steer wrestling was good. I was a wrestler too, so I'm pretty impressed about trying to bring down a several 100-pound steer.
Going 30 miles an hour, jumping off a horse, jumping onto a steer.
That's crazy.
And then taking it down.
But I think one of the best part is the mutton busting. I didn't realize that the way they groom the future rodeo stars is actually at about the age of 5 and 6. They put them on sheep, basically, with a helmet and a vest, and they see if they can do well. So I can see these kids. Some of them were traumatized, right? They were.
Well, yeah, some of them got up off the ground and were crying, and others were like, yeah.
That's right.
And the kid that won wanted to be Spider-Man when he grew up, so it was perfect.
He wants to go for the $65,000 grand prize for the champion of each of those events. And so we can see how these future rodeo stars are actually started early on. Yeah, anyway, they released a bunch of baby cows, let them run around the NRG rodeo arena, and then all these high school students had to basically lasso them, put on a head harness, and then pull them to the center. And in the finals, on the final day, that kid that won got $10,000.
Yeah. Yeah, well, all those kids that were participating were like FFA members or whatever. They knew what they were doing, and they didn't just randomly pluck kids off of, the street to do that. They were involved in, caring for animals, and so they are probably future farmers or ranchers or whatever. And so it's interesting to see how stubborn cows can be.
And what did you think about the shopping there?
Shopping. Well, shopping is usually one of my favorite things. And they did have they used half of the exhibition area for some showing of different cattle and llamas and chicks being hatched and all sorts of things. And then the other half was lots of different merchants. They had jewelry, they had leather work, they had mattresses, massage beds, they had boots, they had all sorts of things. So it was pretty much like quite the exhibition experience, and a lot of people there. I got my boots shine for the first time in my entire life. I've never had a boot shine. That was really cool, and they looked amazing. And shout out to the dude that did my boot shine. And so I have a love for Lucchese boots, and so I kept hanging out there at their booth, and I picked out a pair of boots that I wanted, and maybe next time I'll get them.
Okay, so we promise you, by watching to the very end, you'll get the cost breakdown. So this helps you to make budgets. We actually flew first class. The reason why is that I pack a lot of camera gear with wherever we go, because we do a travel blog, and then often I try to do some kind of video or YouTube episode. So I have a whole suitcase that's fairly heavy. It's over 50 pounds. It actually costs quite a bit to basically pay for an extra bag. And we find that if you just actually get one leg first class, meaning that if you just fly like economy and then one of the legs happen to be upgraded to first class, you get 2 bags for free for each passenger at 70 pounds or less.
Yeah, checked bags. I mean, and some people don't want to mess with checking their bags and picking them up and claiming them and all that, but it's worth it when you have as much stuff as you do. And I don't necessarily love reducing everything that I do into, aliquots that can go through screening. So I kind of appreciate the fact that I can just throw my full-size products in my bag and check it and go.
So that cost for a pair of tickets is $1,132.34. The Wyndham Hotel actually jacked their prices for the event. So basically for 4 nights, it was $1,596.36. And we had the King Suite. And so it worked out to be about $400 a night, which is quite expensive. But again, we got it for the location so that we literally could have a 10-minute walk to the rodeo. And it was a fairly nice walk. It was secure. It was behind a fence line. It was great.
Yeah. And there were lots of police and security out making sure that people crossed safely and that they were directing traffic and whatnot. So it was very safe, well lit, all the things.
So the Rodeo Houston releases the singing and concert lineup in mid-January. So only a few months before the actual rodeo that happens in March. So you either have to wait or you buy ahead. Now, those who are season ticket holders tend to have first dibs. And I try to get regular tickets by waiting until mid-January, and it was almost impossible. So the way they work is that you go into a waiting room virtually when the tickets are released, and then randomly those people are selected to buy tickets, and you can buy up to 10 tickets at a time. Since we were going on a certain date and I wanted to take, vacation from my clinic on specific dates, as well as I wasn't really flexible on what we wanted to see. We wanted to see the championships. We wanted to see the final rounds. So we went to StubHub and Big Stub. The reason why I went to StubHub and Big Stub is that if you read the reviews of these sites, sometimes these resell ticket sites don't give you the tickets. So meaning that the person who's supposed to sell you the tickets doesn't fulfill their obligation. Maybe they found another buyer that purchase those tickets higher. So it would terribly be inconvenient if we got to Houston and we didn't have tickets. So I split it up to two organizations to buy from. So StubHub, I bought Parker McCollum rodeo tickets for a pair at $234.97. And those were good seats.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, not bad.
Yeah. And then it got better because I wanted to buy better seats. The next one is the Brooks and Dunn concert, and we were able to move now halfway down, midway, and over to the kind of like the corner of the stadium a little bit. And at StubHub, I was able to get the Brooks and Dunn tickets and rodeo tickets for $304.82 for a pair, which is not bad. Then finally, for the final conclusion or the championship, it was Luke Bryan, and those tickets cost $531.45 for a pair. So those were quite expensive, but those seats were really good. And we were able to see everything. It was great. Now, my advice is that if you have a specific band you want to see, then go ahead and basically wait until mid-January and find out what the lineup is. But if you're not really there for the band and you're there for basically the rodeo, pick the rounds that you want to see and then buy tickets for those rounds. But the rodeo concert tickets are combined. So that gives you access to the fairgrounds, the carnival, the livestock show, as well as the both rodeo and concert.
Yeah, I think that next time we go, we'll probably do one less day of rodeo and just do 1 day of grounds stuff and just, do it like that. So 2 days of rodeo and 1 day of just the grounds, because we didn't really, it was awesome. It was so much fun. But that was a lot of rodeo and a lot of...
And if you do that, you can actually save a lot of money because obviously, we spent hundreds of dollars on the rodeo concert combo. So if you just want to go see the grounds, it's $21 for the adult and $10 for children 3 to 12. And if you get a season pass, meaning that, you get a pass for all 20 days, it's $57.
And those are prices this year. We don't necessarily know what price you're going to pay next year. We don't know how much you're going to have to pay for on StubHub. That's just to give you kind of like a rough estimate to budget. Prices are subject to change.
Very good point. And also, if you want a fast pass and not wait in line for the carnivals and the rides, it's $30 per rider. So that's pretty expensive. And then the rides are $1.25 per ticket, and each ride is like 3 to 8 tickets in total. Well, thank you for joining us today. So the next episode is going to be the NASCAR in Bristol, Tennessee. So if you like this video, please like, share, and comment, and also hit the subscribe button. And yes, we're together.